This podcast is part of the Podcast Arcade Network.
Welcome to episode 51 of Paranormal Dads. I'm your co-host, Pat.
I am Andy.
And I'm Eddie.
Join us as we go in search of the world's monsters, myths, and mysteries, right here on Paranormal Dads. Hello, guys. Once again, we join each other and our listening public for another exciting episode of Paranormal Dads. How are you guys?
Doing well. So excited to bring another episode back to our listeners, and hopefully you look forward to the episodes as much as we enjoy making them. So how you sitting over there, Eddie?
I'm doing well over here at the Fossler compound. We're doing all right. The aliens haven't abducted us yet, so we're holding on for dear life. No, doing great, man. Like you said, Andy, excited to keep doing this. It's been a fun way to kind of keep our sanity during all of this isolation. Insane in the membrane, and so yeah, it's been a fun way for us to keep making and doing and telling stories that we enjoy doing. So.
Well, before we started recording, we were actually talking about some recent health issues among the three of us. So hypothetically, Eddie, if an alien does come down and probe us, does that count as our colonoscopy for the year? Or
exactly, I'm going to look up. I'm going to be like, you know what? You better, whatever you find, you better send my forms to my insurance company.
Unfortunately, I got a letter from my doctor that says I have to schedule one very soon, so I don't think the alien one counts. So I guess I have a twofer in my.
Oh man, double probing? No,
yeah,
good. No good.
No bueno. But we'll stay healthy. We'll stay healthy for all of you listeners, so we can keep churning out amazing new episodes. And with that, I guess should we dive right in, guys, with our first segment, which is always recent sightings?
Yeah, who's got that this week?
Me. All right, recent sightings. In a rare turn of events, gents and loyal listeners, this is really recent.
Wow.
Really, really recent. As recent as now, is this very second. No, I'm thinking of a color.
Purple.
You got it. Oh. There we go. That was it. Recent sightings. Pat guessed my color.
I just guessed that because your middle name is Prince.
Ooh, it is.
Eddie Prince Fossler.
There it is. No, but this does have to do with isolation, quarantine, and the paranormal.
Yeah.
So lately, what's been happening with people who have otherwise never experienced paranormal events in their lives. Primarily, this all has to do with the afterlife, ghosts, if you will. People have been staying in their houses a heck of a lot longer than they have been in the before times. Before all of this.
In the before times.
Exactly.
It's like pre-apocalypse, you mean?
Exactly. In the before times, there was Andy, Pat, and Eddie, and they told stories of ghosts and Bigfoots.
We had plentiful toilet paper back then.
Toilet paper flowed like honey.
We could go to the store and actually find Lysol wipes.
Exactly. That's the funny part. Like, where's the disinfectant wipes? They start laughing and crying at you.
We haven't seen those since April.
Those don't exist. You see a Bigfoot before you see one of those.
Yeah.
But people have been home longer and longer periods of time. In some cases, staying in their houses for days and days, even weeks before heading back out and into the wild to get more toilet paper. And so, in that increased home time, people have been reporting more and more paranormal happenings in their homes. Homes, like I said before, that haven't been showing or demonstrating any sort of weird behavior. And your boy Eddie scrubbed the internet and got some stories of the different people's experiences while staying in houses that up until before the pandemic had never had any sort of paranormal experiences. Before I get into this, there on the counter of this is people saying, well, of course, I mean, you're in your home longer, and so you're going to be noticing things, sounds of the house settling and all those things, little weird quirks about your house that you maybe wouldn't have noticed before because you're gone for work or socialization or whatever. But in some of these cases, in a lot of these cases, these things don't sound like house settling noises and stuff like that. So with that in mind, put on your hats, your paranormal hats, get your night vision goggles, get your fingerless gloves because they look so gosh darn cool. And let's go ghost hunting pandemic style. So the first story here is in good old Los Angeles with a gentleman by the name of Adrian Gomez. My handwriting is terrible. Talk about paranormal. So he and his partner were in their apartment, and they've been there for weeks and weeks, like all of us, months, in isolation or in quarantine. And they noticed a pattern beginning to emerge in their house where a window shade would all of a sudden just start shaking on its own. And there's a window shade right next to it that would be completely still. So it wasn't like it was wind blowing on it. This one singular window shade flapping around. And then right in tune with that, disembodied footsteps tramping all over their bedroom and the hallway outside their bedroom.
The word disembodied just makes my skin crawl.
Right.
I do like that there was another lamp there. It almost like and I don't know, what do you say, double blind study, or at least something.
Blind, get it out, window blind.
you got the control group, and then got the one that shakes on its own.
Exactly, that's what I was getting at, Pat. Yes, because you have basis for comparison there. So
right.
Had it been something of the natural world, both of them would have been shaking, or both of them would have not been shaking. But disembodied footsteps, I don't know. I think of the pitter patter of little feet running away, and I immediately think of ghost children, which many people think that ghost children are scarier than ghost adults.
Right.
For what it's worth,
when their necks
pound for pound
spin around in circles.
Let's just say, because kids are scary, scary humans. Kids are scary. They'll come at you hot. You don't even know what's happening anymore. Daddy! You're like, what? What's on fire? Nothing. I just love you. Oh, God. Okay. My heart. But yeah, disembodied footsteps going all over their house, and a window shade right next to another window shade flapping around like there's no tomorrow. The next story. This is New York City. New York City!
Coast to coast.
Patrick Hinds, Hinds, living in an apartment in New York City with his partner, his husband, and their daughter. And they decided, we've been locked down in the city too gosh darn long. We're going to go to a bed and breakfast up in upstate New York. Still stay isolated, be on our own. So they go to this Airbnb, which the people, or just not Airbnb, but a bed and breakfast. And the people who own the bed and breakfast said, we haven't had any visitors here for a long time because of the pandemic. So they're like, okay, cool. We have the whole place to ourselves. Yes, you do. So they're in this bed and breakfast. Once again, disembodied footsteps just going all up and down the house to the point where they hid under the comforter, and
that's
then
just like Scooby-Doo style, like shaking, trembling underneath the comforter.
Exactly. That's the shaggy defense method there.
Exactly.
And then also they went into Patrick went into the kitchen to investigate and saw a full body apparition just standing in the kitchen, like, sup, dog? You're in my...
You want an omelet? I'm making one.
Making ghost omelets.
By the way, is there any bed and breakfasts that aren't haunted?
Right?
I mean, any, like, because that's the first thing you think of is bed and breakfast. Oh, it's haunted. At least for me, I've been in one before that was haunted. My daughter and her mom stayed at one this past summer. It was haunted. Like, I've never known an experience at a B&B that wasn't a little bit spooky.
Yeah. This one too. I add that one. He's making a ghost omelet. He's like, hey, I'm putting peppers in it. Guess what kind of peppers they are, Pat? Guess what?
Ghost peppers?
Yeah, you got it. These aren't your ghost peppers.
You set it on the tee, and I just swing away.
They're scary going in, and they're scary going out.
Oh
Yes.
yeah.
Yes. Exactly. Your colon will be haunted.
Your
Ooh.
alien defense.
Exactly. You can't probe this guy. Move along. Move along.
Let's stay away from this one.
This is not
Sorry,
this is not the probing you're looking for. Move along.
Yes,
Move
I
along.
went there.
Nashville, Tennessee, home of Crazy Zeke and his dog that get abducted all the time.
Oh, no, not Crazy Zeke.
Janet Cowan has a very interesting thing happening to her in her apartment, where she will get a shower, and her hot water knobs, not only in the shower and the sink when she's running warm water, like, you know, both knobs turned on, only the hot water gets turned off. She'll be actively getting a shower and then go back to notice the water becomes ice cold, goes to touch the knobs and realizes that in her case it's two knobs and the hot water has been turned off.
Weird. So you physically have to turn the knob.
Turn it back on again.
That's hard to explain.
Yeah,
you know,
I mean, there may be some physics there, but yeah, weird physics.
I mean, I don't know. You know, when you're talking about a gust of wind or a trick of light, you know, things. But to turn a knob like that would take physical force. That would be an intelligently controlled entity of some kind, I would think. I mean, I'm not a plumber. I don't know of any force on the other side of the wall that could physically turn a knob like that. So I don't know.
All the way to the off position too. We're going across the ocean to the land of, I'm so ethnist, to the land of noodles and marinara.
Italy?
Going to Italy.
All right.
Going to Italy. Florence, Italy. I'm kidding. I know more about Italy than that. I'm just having fun.
Yeah, he knows linguine and he knows ravioli and he knows
Florence, Italy. A woman by the name of Madison Hill is living there and working from home. And all these people are in quarantine. Like all these people are like been in their homes for a very long time. Recently, after quarantining for several weeks and months, has seen odd things happening in her house. Towels that she has no pets in the house. Towels that she has hung up on a towel bar are thrown across the room. So they're not just on the floor. They've been moved. And her keys, she'll put her keys in the exact same spot and then wake up the next day and they are moved to a different spot.
That would drive me absolutely insane.
Right?
Why were you,
couch cushions everywhere.
Why were you late for work today? Oh, the ghost hid my keys again. Yeah.
Right?
That is weird because, again, you have, you know, inanimate objects moving. You know, again, it takes force for, you know, some unseen entity to do that. And, you know, obviously, you know, the skeptic might say, oh, well, the towels, you know, they fell off of the towel rack. Well, if they're on the other side of the room, no, they didn't. You know, that and you have to presume, you know, if just one of these people reporting these stories are sane, then you have yourself paranormal phenomena. I don't know these people, but I'd be inclined to say that they're all normal enough, sane enough that I would believe them. I have no reason not to believe them. I've seen strange incidents with my own eyes before, but I have a theory. Can I throw a theory out there for you guys?
Hit us.
Sure.
So in my opinion, having, you know, kind of immersed myself in the psychic and spiritual world all these years, I've noticed that when people are experiencing strong emotions or people who are just very emotionally intelligent beings, people who wear their heart on their sleeve, people who feel things very intensely, they tend to be a little bit more prone to psychic and intuitive and paranormal experiences. I think the reason is because the psychic part of ourself is really strongly linked with the emotional aspect of our being. And so, and I think this whole pandemic, the whole quarantine, it's brought out strong emotions in all of us, obviously. Right. Sadness from losing people, anxiety from going out in public, you know, stress about our job and finances. It's making all of us very emotional, and therefore it's making all of us very psychic. Not to say we would fall victim to, negative paranormal happenings, but it just makes you more likely to experience them. Plus, on a common sense, down to earth explanation, like you were saying, Eddie, people are just home more, and maybe just that alone is accounting for them to see these things happening. Whereas opposed, when everything was open and people were going to work and life was busier and more crazy, you might not have noticed an out of place item in your house because there was just simply too much going on.
You come home just to sleep usually, and then you get up the next day and you leave and you're gone again.
Exactly.
This is where I sleep and eat, and that's about the size of it.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead, Pat.
Well, it makes me wonder too, are the spirits a little put out that people are home more and people are around more, maybe they enjoy having the people around. Maybe they don't. Maybe they want more peace and quiet. And with all the people there all the time, maybe they're getting a little rambunctious, they don't want to be bothered.
They're like our cats. They want us to leave for work and they want to be left alone.
Go home. I want to take my nap.
You guys
go away.
You guys have probably seen those memes floating around social media of the difference. Like, since the pandemic started, dogs are just happy as can be because they get to hang out with their owners all day on Zoom and everything. And cats are just like glaring at us like, leave me alone.
Exactly. You're here an awful lot.
Yeah.
I don't know what that's about.
I'm going to go puke on your pillow.
Yes. An added little bonus to this lady's keys, to Madison Hill's keys getting moved. Also, inexplicably, wherever she finds her keys, there's also a camera lens cover next to her keys as well.
That's kind of creepy.
That's the weirdest thing I've ever heard.
Yeah.
I wonder.
And she was like, I'm taking it as maybe a sign that I should start taking photos again. Like she started like taking more photos, but it was a weird little development. Like, wherever she found her keys, there was also the camera lens cover from her camera.
So I'm assuming she was a photographer, and maybe these are coming from her. If she didn't have a camera, that would be the freakiest thing ever.
Right.
I would start to speculate like stalker or something. But
she has a camera.
Yeah, if she puts a spin like that on it, I mean, maybe it was kind of more of a peaceful sign or message from, one of her deceased loved ones or one of her guardian angels, just a nudge to take more pictures. That has a happy ending to it. I like that one.
I know. I like that one too. And here's one that's we're going to end on a high note, on a scary note. And this is something that I've had experience with in my own right, but in Richmond, British Columbia. Is that in Canada, by the way, guys?
Yeah, that's north of British Columbia. That's in Vancouver, just north of Washington.
Okay.
Yeah. I think I'm 90% sure.
That sounds right.
The sister land to Paranormal Dads, our friends in Canada, keeping an eye on us hosers down here. In Richmond, British Columbia. And I didn't get this person's name. That's me. Look at my media integrity here.
we'll call her BC for Bethany Catherine.
Good old BC.
Brittany Celeste.
Hoser McHoser. This person, I remember it was a she. She was working from home, like a lot of us have been doing, working from home. And she had a little desk lamp right next to her work setup. And during the daytime, she would have the lamp off, but as the night came on, she would turn the lamp on and continue to work for an hour or so or whatever. The lamp began to turn itself on while she was working, and it kept putting her off, like, what the heck's going on? And it's one of these touch lamps. You would have to touch it to turn it on, and it would just turn itself on. And she's like, that's weird. And so it kept happening with a certain amount of regularity, to the point where she got so angry, get this, that she vocalized something and said, stop it. And then the lamp proceeded to not turn on again, stopped doing it. The very next day, the ceiling fan light above her began to turn on without her doing anything. She just
sounds like a smart aleck ghost.
Sounds like a jerk ghost. Oh, did you even stop with your desk lamp?
I'll do you one better.
Exactly.
My opinion is, if a ghost is messing with your electricity and your electrical appliances, it needs to chip in for your electric bill.
Right.
It's only fair.
If you're gonna have fun, you better pay for it.
That's right. There's this one cheapskate ghost that's turning off all the lights. It's too bright in here. Save a few pennies.
Turning the heat down to about 67 degrees. What are you doing, ghost? Just because you're dead, I need some heat. But yeah, that's only a few. I handpicked some of those out of the articles that I was reading, but there's quite a few. If you look up ghost haunting experiences during the pandemic, it's kind of an interesting phenomenon. And Andy, I think you're onto something. They actually had a psychic medium who they interviewed, and she had said the exact same thing that you just said.
Yeah, it just makes sense. I mean, and I don't know, and keep your eyes open. If you're a listener, keep your eyes open. keep your eyes on your desk lamps and ceiling fans, and apparently your towels. So
and your camera lens caps.
Yeah, watch your car keys.
And for those of you not working at home in offices, those are pretty empty these days too, and so it's kind of a different vibe in the office as well. I worked late a couple of nights last week, and I was pretty much the only one in the office. And it's kind of weird. You hear noises and sounds and things that you don't normally hear during the day. And Eddie's had some experience with that as well. So
yeah, that's what I was just
kind of goes both ways.
Yeah, that's what I was just thinking. That story Eddie relayed to us about his office chair getting pulled when he was working overnight shifts installing computer software. It's interesting, very interesting. So good luck to everybody working from home.
Have fun. If you hear your window blinds getting flipped around for no reason, just like Eddie said, tell them you owe part of the bill.
That's right. Well, coming up next in pop culture and the paranormal, I have a very fun and highly interactive game of sorts.
Ooh.
So break out a pen and paper, and you can keep score because I'm going to test your monster trivia coming up next.
It's time for pop culture and the paranormal.
All right, boys. I have something really fun rounded up for us for pop culture and the paranormal. So you probably heard by now, longtime host of the game show Jeopardy, Alex Trebek, has passed away. And I, for one, have been a lifelong fan of that show. I literally watch it every single day. Back when my grandma was alive, that was one thing we enjoyed doing together, is watching Jeopardy. And, nowadays with cell phones, I if I see a clue that reminds me of one of my friends or family member, I'll snap a picture of the clue and text it to them to see if they know the answer.
I was going to say, Andy regularly sends us pictures of Jeopardy questions.
Yeah, they just, they remind me of people. If I see an animal clue come on, I'll text it to my wildlife, conservation people out in California and whatnot. It's just fun. So I got to thinking, in a paranormal sense, I wondered if there's any like monster, myth, mystery, Jeopardy clues. So I looked it up, and I'm on JeopardyQuestions.com, and it's kind of a random assortment of clues that have been offered over the years on the show that have to do with these subjects. So I thought maybe I'd toss 5 over to Eddie. I'd give 5 to Pat. Keep score, be honest, and I'll just see who the winner is. I don't know. Maybe there's some sort of paranormal dare that happens here.
And putting it behind the computer, so no one. I'm not. Hands are where they can be seen.
No phone a friend. No lifelines.
The phone can be the prize.
The what?
Whoever wins gets Eddie's phone.
That's a fair prize. Full disclosure, it has a weird crack down the middle of it, and it smells kind of funny, like my neck. It smells like jerky and tears.
Has a crack down the middle, and it smells funny. I wonder what that could be.
My phone's a butt. My phone's a butt. Hashtag my phone's a butt.
All right. On that note, I'm gonna throw Pat the first question in no particular order. I have no idea what the dollar amounts are on this, so I'll say this is for 18 gold doubloons, Pat. Okay. Footage from Raymond Burr was added to this 1954 Japanese classic, maybe to make it scarier. I think that's a typo. Let me reread that. Footage of Raymond Burr was added to this 1954 Japanese classic movie to make it scarier.
What is Godzilla?
Let me click, and you are correct, good sir. Pat winning the gold doubloons. All right.
Pat Price making it nice with the first win. Or correct answer.
All right. Let's see. Eddie, are you ready?
I'm ready. My name rhymes with it.
Ready, Eddie. And all the listeners, hopefully, are playing along too.
Yeah, play along with us.
Okay. Another category of movie monster. A documentary film crew in the Amazon encounters a giant snake in this 1997 movie.
Anaconda, son. Get out of here.
3 gold stars for Eddie.
Woohoo!
Let's say, what is anaconda?
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I should revoke that, but I won't.
Did you say what is Godzilla though?
Yeah, did you phrase it in the form of a question?
I
Pat?
did.
He did. I just realized that. Oh, what is Anaconda?
I'll let that one slide.
See, here's the flashback. Just listen. What is Godzilla? See? I told you. I said it.
Well done.
Thanks for the instant replay, Pat.
Oh, curse this technology around us.
Okay, so it's 1-1. Back to you, Pat. Improbably, in 1958, Steve McQueen played a teenager being chased by this improbable giant amoeba-like mass.
What is the blob?
You are correct, good sir. 4 rainbow unicorns to Pat.
Oh,
You got 4? Man, I only got 3 of those things.
All right, you ready, Eddie?
I'm ready.
In 1935, Elsa Lancaster played this doctor's hair-raising second creation and was meant to wed the first. That was worded very strange.
What is the Bride of Frankenstein?
The correct answer is Dr. Frankenstein.
I'm going to throw this
I would
computer
have said
through
the
a
same
window.
So Pat takes the lead.
Oh,
2-1. So close, Eddie. So
I know.
close.
So close.
Now these are all I'm only seeing categories of monster movies. Maybe they're all. Yeah, it looks like these are all monster movies. So I hope that's okay.
That's okay. I'm already host because Pat's going to crack his knuckles and just.
hey, our tagline is monsters, myths, and mysteries. So we never said they weren't movie monsters.
It's true.
Mm.
Okay, back to whose turn is it now?
Yeah,
Pat? Okay. George Clooney and Quentin Tarantino wound up in a bar full of these creatures in 1996 from dusk till dawn.
How about what is praying mantis?
It's actually vampires.
Vampires, Pat. It's vampires.
I didn't see the movie, so.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's so good.
Might as well take a shot in the dark if you don't know it. Sometimes an educated guess is right.
What kind of bug are you going to see in a bar in the middle of nowhere?
That's true. Hopefully not the COVID bug. That's all I'm saying.
Okay, Eddie's chance to catch up.
Here I go.
Here's the clue. This big ape was billed as the 8th wonder of the world by promoter Carl Denham.
What is King Kong?
Yes, you are correct, good sir.
If you said what is the son of King Kong, I was going to flip this table over.
$1 billion to Eddie.
Woo!
All right, back to Pat. Raymond Burr was a reporter investigating this fire-breathing lizard in Tokyo in 1956 and 1985.
What is Godzilla?
Once again.
Yeah,
once again, you're correct. Huh? They threw that in there twice. But again,
Godzilla?
But again, these are clues from Jeopardy from over the years. So these could have appeared in shows like seasons apart.
Right.
All right. Eddie, question number 4. The movie monster played by David Hedison, Brett Halsley, Jeff Goldblum, and Eric Stoltz.
I'm going to go with What is the Fly?
I believe that's correct. Let me click on it. You are right.
Yes!
So if I'm not mistaken, the score is 3-3, and here we come
up.
to the 5th and final round. We might have to have a tiebreaker if this is tied at the end.
Final countdown. That's courtesy to all you people. You're welcome.
Eddie's rock voice.
You're welcome. You're welcome. You're welcome.
Okay, ready, Pat?
Yep.
In 1951, James Arness played this vegetable-like monster from another world.
1951?
Correct. Vegetable-like monster.
Well, if it was 1952, I'd note it right away. But 1951, that's a toughie. What is the Cabbage Patch Kid?
It's actually The Thing.
The Thing. Oh,
The
it was a
answer is
vegetable?
The Thing. What is The Thing? Yeah, that's what kind of stumped me too. It was a vegetable.
That's
I
weird.
didn't know
I kind of
that
want to look up
was
the thing now and see what it looks like.
Okay, ready?
Now. Yep.
Last, if you get this right, the game is over.
You Jeopardy champion.
No paranormal pressure.
You'd be sitting alongside Ken Jennings.
Yes.
Okay. The Gill Man is a prehistoric beast from the Amazon in this 1954 movie.
Oh,
I'm going to go for it. What is the creature from the Black Lagoon?
And Eddie wins the match.
Yes!
In Pat's defense, that was a tough one. I've never seen The Thing, but how is a vegetable-like creature scary?
yeah. The vegetable thing kind of threw me off. I might have guessed the thing if I wasn't put on the track. I was trying to think of, wasn't there some kind of a movie about a giant tomato or
Attack of the Killer Tomatoes.
Attack of the Killer Tomato? That's what it was.
There was one, Andy, when you said vegetable, I remember seeing this as a kid because, like a lot of us here, especially on the show, I sometimes would watch late night like those weird black and white sci-fi movies. There was one that was legit like a giant thing of celery that was like that people were shooting at. They were like, "Someone get the peanut butter and raisins over here, quick! We gotta kill this thing." We did a bunch of preschoolers for snack time.
And to be factually correct, apparently tomatoes are fruit, not vegetables.
Oh, Pat, because they got seeds on the inside.
We got to put that disclaimer in there. We don't want the FCC turning us off.
We don't want the hate.
Paranormal
Dads. We don't want the hate mail to start rolling in.
We'd have to get all the Paranormal Dad lawyers together and get into this big thing. We don't want to do that.
We just got through with Twinkie Gate. The last thing we need is to get involved with the tomato
Yes,
scandal.
that was ugly.
I'm still walking with a limp from that one.
Well, thanks everyone for participating in the first ever, perhaps not the last, but the first ever Paranormal Jeopardy. And next, we'll kind of ease into the main course. And if I'm not mistaken, I think Pat's up for main mystery coming up next.
And now it's time for the main mystery.
So we're going to have a little geopolitical thriller on this version of the main mystery. You guys ever hear of anything called remote viewing?
Remote viewing. Yeah, that's in the psychic realms. Yeah,
it is. Yeah, this is one of the psychic things I learned about this. Oh, it was probably about the time that we started the show. I came across an article about psychic viewing or remote viewing, and it's always kind of intrigued me. And I thought we'd spend some time talking about it. There's one case in particular I'm kind of focusing on. It was an episode that happened back in around 1979, and apparently there was a plane crash in Central Africa. It would have been the country. It was once known as Zaire and later known as the Congo. And apparently a plane crashed, and it's kind of weird that the story goes back and forth. You're not sure whose plane it was. Was it a Russian plane? Was it an American plane? Some say it was a smaller plane. Some say it was a larger Russian plane. But at any rate, the Americans knew about this crash, and they very much wanted to get whatever documents or equipment was on this aircraft when it went down. And they spent a lot of time using satellites and probably like SR-71s or U-2 spy planes, kind of looking for this plane, couldn't find it. So they tapped into a special group of people that were working for the Air Force. It was a project known as the Stargate Project. And what it was a group of psychics who kind of worked for the CIA. And what they would do is they would be told just some basic facts about what they wanted them to focus on. And they would draw maps. They would kind of almost go into a trance, and they would record, what they said, or what they, take down, any details that they could come out with. And there was one particular woman who came up with a longitude and latitude for them to investigate. And they sent in a small team kind of covertly. And sure enough, they found a plane wreckage at that site and it was heavily covered in jungle canopy. You couldn't see it with the satellites or the flyovers. And as the story goes, they found what they were looking for. And this went all the way up to President Carter at the time. Even Carter didn't know about it at the time when it was going on. But he was kind of intrigued once they told him how they came about coming across this airplane. The project was also made into a book in 2004 called The Men Who Stare at Goats. Either of you guys read this one?
And they actually made that into a movie, I believe, with George Clooney.
Clooney. Yeah. In 2009, yeah.
It's kind of a tongue-in-cheek type of movie. I mean, it's very dry humor. I've seen it. Yeah, and what wasn't, at least in the movie, there was like psychics who claimed to like be able to stare at goats, and just like with their thoughts alone, they could get the goat to like keel over, if like fall over dead kind of deal.
Yeah, they could kill a goat by thinking.
Yeah. From what I've read, it sounds like, I haven't seen the movie yet, but I might have to go see it now after reading about it. But it sounds like it was kind of, like you said, almost kind of a comedy sort of thing.
Very much. But the serious aspect of the remote viewing is almost like these psychics who can have an out of body experience of sorts, is to separate their body and their soul, so to speak, using their intuitive third eye to go somewhere else in the world to see a place that they can't physically be at, almost like a Google Earth, a psychic Google Earth, basically, right?
Remote viewing is one of those things that I think even the most skeptical of people, when you sit back and really read about what these people were able to do with very little information, and then when they were able to kind of take the different remote viewers and build kind of a picture of what was happening, and then use that information to validate real things happening, was pretty insane. And especially during like wartime and stuff, governments don't spend time and resources on things that don't work either, Right.
And this is a pretty deep rabbit hole. I'm not sure if you're going to touch this far down, Pat, but there's even reports of psychics who did remote viewing, would they'd focus on like the dark side of the moon to see. And there were psychics who reported on the dark side of the moon. There's alien civilizations and full blown, UFO projects going on, and who knows what to believe, but there's speculation about that kind of thing.
Yeah, I came across one document. They actually did an investigation into Mars, and apparently one remote viewer described a tall people on the surface of Mars, but this happened like 1,000 years BC. They came up with information that this is something that was ancient. You talk about your ancient aliens, and this apparently took place on Mars. So that was kind of an eye-opening article that I saw.
That'll do it.
If you go into the CIA, actually has a number of articles on their website that have been approved for release. They've long since been
declassified.
Declassified, right? And I found one interesting document. This is from a staff meeting minutes document from the 28th of March, 1979. And the topic is parapsychology. And it says the acting chief Air Force summarized a recent interesting case in which an Air Force sensitive, quote unquote, individual may have aided in the location of a plane which crashed in Africa after its crew members bailed out. Following intensive and unsuccessful efforts to locate the plane wreckage by other means, the sensitive was contacted by the Air Force, and after a vision provided coordinates, the name of the country, and a description of the terrain in which the plane crashed. Acting upon this information, the Air Force has located an area corresponding to that described by the sensitive and is investigating what appears to be a crash site. So
there you go.
And that, people have pretty much made that as part of this investigation that the story came from. So
I like how they keep referring to the psychic as a sensitive. He's a sensitive guy. He's in touch with his inner, feminine side. Don't look at him wrong. He's
Don't look
sensitive.
at him. He has to use fragrance-free detergent.
He's just so sensitive.
He gets a rash.
Yeah. Lukewarm baths, really. Nothing hot, nothing too cold.
But that's kind of a short and sweet, coverage of remote viewing. But there's another document I saw on the CIA's website about, I can't remember the actual title of the document, but it was basically like a lesson plan for working with psychics. This is how you go through it. You write down, you have a picture of some place, you put it in an envelope, you put it in another envelope, you set it in a room next to the psychic and ask them to describe what's in the envelope. So it's like double secure envelope.
Right.
And they have them draw out maps or, pictures or describe what's in the document. It's kind of the way they test this sort of thing. Yeah, it's interesting.
Such a fascinating thing, the way that they were able to single people out like that and then use them for various missions. And it's a fascinating subject. It really is. Yeah.
Well, and the thing that I keep thinking of, if it's possible to have this ability, which I believe it is, theoretically, there would be no limits on how far away you could see. If you could find a plane in Africa, you could find a plane on another civilization and 2 galaxies over. I mean,
right.
we're talking about defying the laws of space and time. So that's really interesting. And there have been psychics who claim to be able to see things on Mars and beyond. And, unfortunately, in many of those cases, there's no way to verify or validate, those theories. But there wouldn't be any limits. It's you're getting into the psychic realms. You're kind of defying the laws of physics. So it's interesting to ponder. And I don't know. It's a unique one. It's a lesser known one, Pat. I'm glad you selected this because I'm sure there's going to be a few listeners who have never heard of that concept. But
wasn't Edgar Casey a big remote viewer?
Yeah, correct. Edgar Casey, one of the sleeping prophet, as he's known, one of the most well-known psychics in history. And yeah, he kind of had a knack for the remote viewing. Pat, didn't he? I mean, he claimed to have known what's inside the pyramids or inside the paw of the Sphinx in Egypt. He claims it's hollow and there's I guess like a treasure chest of ancient, knowledge or something in there. But
if I'm not mistaken, he was kind of down on like all the tools that people were starting to use for ghost hunting. And he was more, none of those tools work. Just bring a good psychic with you. And that's the best thing you can have with you.
Well, and he was kind of like, he was old school for sure. I mean, granted, he was practicing as a psychic and a seer and a sensitive long before it was acceptable to do so. But now Edgar Casey would just get comfortable on a couch and he'd loosen his tie and he'd untie his shoelaces and he would lay there and essentially remote view things from all over. Not just remote view things in different places, such as the pyramids in Egypt, but he could almost remote view inside the human body. He was a medical intuitive, so he could, accurately diagnose what was going on with people and prescribe a solution. Many a times it worked, and he saved lives that way. So, but it's remote viewing. There you go. If you want to try it at home, you could do some experiments. Have your kids round up some random stuff from around the house, stick it in a manila folder, and see if you could guess what's in there. So,
yeah.
Exactly.
Probably your car key. It's your car keys that you lost months ago.
There you go.
There you go, next to a camera lens cap.
Exactly.
Get a goat, stare at it till it dies. Give it the old stink eye.
The neighbors ask, "What are you doing?" Remote viewing. Just trying to kill a goat here.
We got to eat sometime.
Well, thanks for listening to another goofy, wacky off the beaten path episode, everybody. Feel free to reach out if you have questions or comments. You can find us on all of our social media outlets and email to paranormaldads@gmail.com. And
special thanks to the good people at freesounds.org for all of our sound effects and all that fun stuff. And also to Premium Beats for our intro music. And all that's in our credits as well. If you want to check that stuff out, you can read that in there and have a good time.
All right. Thanks for listening.
Again next time, everybody.
Peace. And with that, I guess should we dive right in, guys, with our first segment, which is always recent sightings?
Yeah, who's got that this week?
Me. Sorry.
And transition.
Yeah.
It sounded like Tony the Tiger.
I'm great. All right. Hello, kitty. She'll be fine.
Here, come here. Come on. Yeah. Look.
We have a special guest on the show, Pat's cat.
Oh, Pat's cat. Dude.
Sarah has come to join the game.
Pat's cat, Sarah. She's paranormal in her own right. Look at her. Oh, she's a pretty girl. She's a pretty girl.
She's a lover. Yes, look at that face.
Oh. Get a picture. She's smelling the mic. It smells funny, kitty. Sarah is all about being in Pat's face.
No,
She's just staring at him.
Just going to sit here. Okay.
My cat was pestering me before we started. I had to give him food, or else he wasn't going to leave me alone.
All right,
On the
Sarah.
edit, if you remember, Andy, your cat and dog were barking and meowing their heads off, and you were like, "I'm going to go kill my
I'm going to murder them." Yeah, they're about to have a wrestling match down here.
Yep.
Yeah.
But it sounded like a legit zoo. You just heard like, you shut up.
Oh, Sarah. Okay. All right. Guess what, guys?
What?
I've totally lost you guys.
What?
I like cannot see you anywhere, and I can't find you in my browser. I can hear you, but I can't.
Well, we're
see
recording. We can see you.
Well, that's good.
No!
So who's recording then?
I am.
You
Okay.
are, but are you still there?
Yeah, we're still here.
I don't know how I lost
Where are
you guys.
we?
Sarah, what did you do?
I feel like I'm in.